Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to WyzGyz Entertainment. This is your host, Wyman. Um, so as a follow-up to my previous video about, where I stood in the Fandom Menace, I still do consider myself Fandom Menace. One slight difference, as Disney Luke Skywalker said, or Jake Skywalker, as he's often referred to as, it's time for the Fandom Menace to end. Not so much end, but the old original version of Phantom Menace, I suppose. It's time for it to end. Um, what do I mean by that? So, Phantom Menace is a response to the Hollywood elites and those in charge of making media and entertainment, or what they claim is entertainment, based off of beloved IPs, Star Wars, Thundercats, Transformers, Star Trek, um, Willow, Lord of the Rings, Game of Thrones, uh, and the like. Doctor Who. And it's mainly a response saying, hey guys, what are you doing to these popular IPs? Why are you not honoring the canon? Why are you not honoring the intent of the creator of this franchise or property or IP? And as I mentioned in another video, the surge of DEI or ESG. DEI is diversity, equity, inclusion. ESG, I forget what it stands for, but it's the same idea. And it was pushed onto people through organizations like George Soros, um, Vanguard, BlackRock. But as we recently learned, it's also been heavily pushed and funded by uh, an organization or department called USAID. It ultimately ended up becoming I think it was intended as a place to put any excess funds that were not spent on other programs, but ultimately turned into a Democratic slush fund for the DNC, so they could hide money there and repurpose it for all their crazy plans. So DEI, diversity, equity, inclusion, is all about being anti-white, being racist, and pushing every other, well, not necessarily. The funny thing is, it's not in favor of white single males, or heck, any white or Anglo-Saxon or um, European descent males, and half the time it's not even in favor of white females. Instead, it predominantly pushes blacks and, I guess to a lesser extent, some East India, some Latinos, Latinas, and to a lesser extent, Middle Easterners like Muslims. Putting people of those races into prominent roles, prominent levels of power in and around Hollywood so that they can spread the message and the agenda of promoting the same kind of stuff, regardless of your merit, your qualifications, your background, your experience. So, consequently, we find ourselves seeing a lot of entertainment from essentially newbies or people who don't know how to tell a story, or those who are telling their own kind of story based off of established IPs, intellectual properties, uh, forcing their agenda to promote characters and stories based off sex and race. So they, in their attempts to appear and virtue signal as being inclusive and caring about other races and sexes, they in the end are becoming racist and sexist themselves because they are omitting a certain population of people, those they claim to be the minorities, the disenfranchised. Heck, they even consider women, the female sex, as being a minority when they constitute the majority of the world's population. So how do you work that math? So one thing that's also prevalent, something that's noticed in entertainment, is they're also against. Uh, well, they're doing a little bit more in the area of Asian representation, I suppose. A little bit more on the Chinese side. Um, I'm not sure about Filipino or Korean or maybe a little more Japanese. It's hard to see. I personally don't see a whole lot. Plus, they don't have much Irish or Scottish representation. Um, None of Viking representation. Uh, Not enough Icelandic or Slavic representation. So you can see they're skewed only in favor of specific races. Um, so the Phantom Menace, as I understood it to be, is just kind of a pushing back at Hollywood, saying, "Hey, we're not into this kind of entertainment. Quit it. Stop it, or else I'll slap your hand with a ruler." Um, but it isn't enough. With the seeming turning or changing tide of about 5 years, well, maybe as much as 10 years of declining profits and the near destruction of the Star Wars and Star Trek legacies and properties by Disney. And well, actually, Disney's responsible insofar as owning so many different properties, so many IPs, and promptly destroying them one at a time. Well, not necessarily one at a time, but all at once to varying degrees or speed. So it seems like just about everything Disney touches, it destroys. But, Warner Brothers hasn't been doing so hot either as of late. And they did their share of their own destruction. They screwed up Wonder Woman. They're all over the place on Batman. Hopefully, Superman shines some light and hope into the world. We won't know until it comes out. But there's just been so much invasion of DEI in all forms of entertainment, from books to movies to video games to comic books. It's been very invasive and pervasive to the extent people finally had enough of it. Even though Hollywood might recognize it, they are often doubling down on it. Since the 2024 election, where Donald Trump returned to office as our 47th president, I think Hollywood and big tech is scrambling to, kiss up a little, in fear that they might experience consequence or repercussions from the way they treated horribly the customer bases and the fandoms. Um, so now, for example, big tech is pretending to be all nicey nice and actually care about censorship when you know damn well they don't care about censorship. They want to push more censorship, but not be noticed. Hollywood, in the meantime, some parties are still doubling down on DEI and they're just kind of hiding it out of sight, renaming it so it's not as recognizable, while others seem to be making attempts at dialing it back and trying to return back to the entertainment we used to have. The reason why I said the old Fandom Menace must end is because uh, I, on a side note, I was actually intending originally to have like a thumbnail of me at with the Reface app with my face over Luke's face as he's in his Jedi robes on that remote island and he looks over his shoulder. I was going to have that as the thumbnail, but I'm probably not going to take the time to do that at this point. It's taking me this long to record this video. So I was going to, what I'm saying is, although I commend parts of Hollywood for trying to release actual entertainment, it seemed like the indies are kind of among the key areas where they're trying to create something different instead of releasing endless remakes of the same film. I personally am doing, all right, this is going to sound bizarre, but I'm personally going to do kind of I don't know if it's technically a boycott, but I actually technically started a while ago. Uh, entertainment has been going down the hill uh, the last 10 to 15 years at least. And the streaming wars didn't help things then either. The whole, well, that's another story though. So this is sort of a type of boycott, I guess you could say. But this is just for my own personal needs or interest needs, whatever. I figure I need to give Hollywood and media break. I'd say for a good 10 years, until that means basically not buying their crap, not seeing their movies in theaters, anything that still resembles what people refer to as woke, I guess. Excuse me, where they're trying to follow DEI initiatives, uh, trying to destroy original IPs, uh, misuse IPs, not respect canon, make all the storylines surround with DEI themes in the center, uh, that kind of garbage. So in going with that idea, that also means cutting back on content. Well, purchased content, I guess I should say, because even the crappy content they might put out, I may eventually see if I come across it free on Tubi. Since I use Amazon Prime for shipping, I do have access to Amazon Video, so I might run across a movie to watch there. My biggest gripe is against Disney and all its properties. So those are the kinds of movies under the Disney umbrella that I have no intention of seeing in theaters, uh, uh, unless there's a significant reason to go. But for, for the most part, 95% of the time, uh, I'm going to do what I can to avoid watching any of their garbage in theaters and directly contributing to supporting them, because part of the problem with making endless videos griping about them is at a certain point, you realize they aren't really going to listen to you. Thankfully, the creators of the Sonic movies seem to be listening to people and in turn are responding accordingly. And that's why we're getting some pretty good Sonic movies. And those I'm willing to watch. Uh, Illumination movies, generally, I watch WB DC movies. I tend to watch, but things like The Emancipation of Harley Quinn, I waited till it was free for me to watch. Um, and other movies that just don't look appealing at all through their trailers and from what I hear about them. You know, the key is not to put your money into the same pockets of those who are treating the IPs like crap. And I think I understand the YouTube channels, the people who critique pop culture and uh, media, multimedia. I understand the need to review something for the channel so that you can relay that to others. And I'll leave that for other channels to do. That's not my bag. I originally was going down that route, but I'm like, if I'm going to keep watching these movies and the great majority are going to be garbage, then it's not worth even paying the money for those. So uh, I can wait. I can wait. Either I'll wait for it to end up free on Tubi during a promotional period, end up free on Amazon Prime Video on a promotional period, or I'll wait until it arrives on Blu-ray or DVD in the thrift store for $1 a piece and get it then. So that's kind of my take. Same goes for any kind of merch related to it. Like, I don't make it a habit of buying Star Wars anymore. I almost spent $80 buying some Cara Dune and Mara Jade figures, but at the last minute I changed my mind, and I'm glad I didn't spend the money on it. But a part of me still wanted to get it. Just those specific classic characters, um, which I know makes me sound kind of uh, hypocritical, and I guess to a certain extent it can. Yeah. Um, I've got. I know this is gonna sound weird, but like a 95% boycott against Disney. The 5% allows me to occasionally get Cara Dune or Mara Jade action figures aftermarket, but I don't try to directly pay Disney's pockets if I can help it. So merch, movies, anything like that, um, I'm trying not to pay into, so I don't actively support them, and I wait till it becomes quote unquote free on other platforms, or wait till it comes out in the thrift stores on Blu-ray and DVD when people are tired of it, and get it for cheap that way for under $1 a piece. Uh, and then at that time, if I feel the need to, I'll review it. Um, so some might wonder, how do I entertain myself if that's the case? If I'm boycotting a chunk of Hollywood, um, I mean, as I mentioned, I'll still watch some Illumination. I'll still watch uh, things from A24. I might catch some indie films if I can catch them. Um, but the bulk of it is going to be from physical media. I'm a big proponent of physical media, as I've said. So a chunk of it is going to be from my quite extensive collection. I mean, granted, some of the titles I have multiple copies of. It's kind of what happens when you buy aftermarket used. Sometimes, uh, sometimes you don't quite know what the quality is of it till later, whether there's scratches on the discs or not. But Blu-ray and DVD is what I mostly collect, and I estimate I probably have a few thousand discs. So I've got more than enough content to last me a long time. And then I have a couple collections that I'm thinking of actually watching again and reviewing or covering in videos on my channel. Like, I have the entire Wonder Woman series. Um, I have the entire Shrek collection. Um, I'm trying to remember. I don't think I have Knight Rider yet. I have all of Stargate SG-1, all the seasons in the big box set, and I also have I think it's Stargate Atlantis. I don't think I ever got Stargate universe because I didn't like it enough. So I've got tons of media and probably more than I'll ever get around to watching at this point. So that's, in a sense, how I satiate myself and reduce the need or the urge or the temptation to spend money on Hollywood useless crap. There's a handful of creators or YouTubers, or if you will, who I trust in their opinions, and I can basically use them as a general reference as to whether I might like something or not. Generally speaking, when it comes to, say, movie critics, my record with them is if they like something, I usually won't like it. And if they don't like something, I'll usually like it. So, so all the so-called blockbusters that come out, you know, if uh, I've got family and friends who are really jazzed about going to see something, then, and it is something that falls within my boycott, then I likely will go and join them simply because it's a group activity and it's an opportunity to hang with family and friends. Excuse me. Uh, because otherwise we might not go out to see uh, some movies. So it's more the social interactions, the opportunity for those that I'd go for. And yes, it means that I would be breaking my quote unquote boycott. That's why I guess it's considered unofficial. But the key is to try and send Hollywood a message saying, tired of this crap. And I think too many influencers and creators, YouTubers, you know, say how much garbage there is out there, yet don't necessarily back it up with their wallet. Instead, they feed into the crap engine. And so when they see the sales that should be tanked and bottomed out, when they see there's at least barely enough interest to make some decent box office sales, I think it sends the wrong message to Hollywood and makes them think, well, it looks like it's going to be worth making sequels of this because at least we made a little bit of profit. So I know it's not a stance that everyone can take, and I'm guessing the majority of people won't take the same stance, but this is how I view it. Um, in order to get Hollywood to listen and these big studios to listen, you have to hit them with the pocketbook by not feed their box office, not feed their streaming services. That's why I didn't follow that trend or scam of the streaming wars. When we cut the cable with cable TV because it wasn't serving our needs, and they refused to do a la carte pricing, and streaming became popular, I knew off the bat it was just another form of cable TV. You've got different companies in control of different content, and if you want a little bit of each of their content, you have to subscribe to each of their services. And of course, they start it off with what appears to be a reasonable low rate. Over time, that rate jacks up and gets out of control. And then before you know it, you're being nickeled and dimed, and you're paying way more than you ever anticipated per month because you're signed up for all these streaming services. So I knew that wasn't going to work. That's why I used the free version of Tubi, and I'm occasionally popping into Prime Video since I use Prime for shipping purposes mostly. Well, to get a break on shipping prices, although when you think about it, you're also, if you don't do much shipping, you're actually paying for it's it will sometimes balance out, if not put you in the red. Because if you don't actively use it for shipping, you're not, or saving on shipping, then you're paying the monthly price of like $16.16, I think. So if you're not shipping or ordering enough that that is Prime shipping eligible, then you are getting kind of ripped off because you're paying for the other features of Amazon Prime, like the streaming service. So yeah. So it's kind of you know, pros and cons. So just something to think about, and guess that's basically all there is to it. Thanks for joining me today. You have an awesome one. We'll see you on the next video. Bye.